Is it my deltoids that got me out of bed at 5:15 every morning? No, it was my mindset. You've got to be willing to go to some really awful, dark places.
If you can be someone who is not glued to the phone all the time, is able to think about things before they do them, you are going to have a massively outsized advantage. I think I might want to break a world record. Where do we start? One of the things that we talk about a lot is dopamine.
Yeah. We've dropped that in a few times already.
Yeah.
Teased it in there.
And actually, you gave me a question for my Ask Me Anything podcast the other day, and you said, what are some ways that you mitigate the negative effects of the dopamine drop after an event?
Yeah.
And let's go into that. So what were those days like afterwards? Talk to me about that emotional dopamine journey that you went on.
Yeah. I remember my dopamine journey started with you on this podcast.
My dopamine journey.
Me and my dopamine. I learnt about it first time properly. I'd heard the phrase, didn't really know exactly what it was all about. I think I thought it was all about, you get dopamine when something's amazing. But actually, I've since learned it's the molecule of more. So it's kind of more, different. In fact, the book that I listened to is called The Molecule of More. And that came off the back of the podcast that we did last time, because you told me about it in the podcast. Yeah. And I was like, that sounds really interesting, but I couldn't contribute to it at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah,
can't say it.
Interesting. Yeah, brilliant, mate. Yeah, you should speak to someone about that. Get someone on the podcast. But yeah, I've looked right into it, and yeah, like it's so worth looking into dopamine. The Molecule of More is perfect to start in place as a book or an audio book, because you can just be more self-aware of those up and downs, and you kind of think you get this, or you get firstly you break the record, so that's a big spike. Mm-hmm. Then you get confirmation that you've got the record, that's a big spike. Mm-hmm. And then you actually get the certificate delivered and put it up in your gym, and that's a big spike. In terms of like managing that, I think your answer to the podcast was the same as my answer. That you can't fight it. You can't break. You can't stop the dopamine dump, basically, as your body tries to balance out. But I think just being aware that it's absolutely fine that it is like that can help. So I didn't put plans in place to be like, okay, the day after I'm gonna do this so that it gives me a little spike, but helps even out. I just accepted the fact that it was going to be like this, and knew there was going to be more times ahead that it's always going to happen, because I try and do good stuff, try and do fun stuff, try and do things like this, and it's just really important that you're aware that you are going to have a dopamine dump after that can feel really, really crap. A dopamine dump.
Did you have a dopamine dump this morning?
Stay professional, Jez.
Oh, brilliant.
Keep that in.
Yeah, fucking right. Oh, I've never thought about having a dopamine.
So
yeah.
the title
one way to manage it would be go to the toilet.
Dopamine dump. So the podcast was going to be how to break a world record. Now it's Andy Allan's dopamine dump.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, and yeah, what we're talking about is that homeostasis, isn't it? What goes up must come down, and what.
Yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah, what I think is interesting is what we did talk about in the first podcast was the Barton Townley final.
Oh yeah,
where you were captain in Ulverston Rugby, and you won the final down at Raiders, and then you went to an event with that fella at the Coral Hall.
Jason Robinson, ex-World Cup winning rugby union star.
Yeah. And you said to him, you were asking him that feeling. And I found it interesting. Probably we didn't realize at the time that's dopamine. That feeling was like, you asked him how was that feeling compared to, was it like winning?
I said when I think the gist was when you were a kid, say 16 years old, and you were in a final with your mates from school and you won that final and it obviously felt amazing. How much more amazing did it feel to win the World Cup compared to back then? And I was like, because me and my brother, we won the Barton Townley final and that felt like the best thing ever. Yeah. So if we then went and won a World Cup, how does that feel in comparison? And he basically said what is the actual answer, if you, like from the science, which is it's all relative. So dopamine is you get a dopamine increase when expectations are exceeded.
Yeah,
you know. So if your expectation is, you know, I'm definitely going to get this. No problem. I mean, not even going to have to try that hard for it. My dopamine and the feeling of relief and joy and everything would be nowhere near as much. And
you would dip down lower because you've like preloaded them dopamine points.
Yeah.
I think about I don't know if I ever told you about this actually. I might have, but I told Matty about it. And the first time I ever did a sub 20 5K and I'm running around the canal and I get to the top past Glasgow.
Yeah.
Glasgow. And high rocks on the mind always, and I go over that little roundabout bit, and you know there's that like memorial bit, and I'm gonna fucking do it here. I'm gonna do it, and I'm thinking about messaging you, telling you about my sub 20K, and I'm like, I'm spending my fucking dopamine points
before you.
I've not even done it. So then I was like, fucking hell, I better do this because I would have been so much more disappointed. I'd already started like telling people about it.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how the mind works, and there's so much related to dopamine. I mean. So, but back to why I was talking about the Barton Townley thing.
Yeah.
My question to you.
Oh, sorry, I turned it around, didn't I?
How did the dopamine of the Barton Townley final or walking into the farmhouse at the end compared to the world record?
I'm finally Jason Robinson, aren't I? I've made it.
Completed it, mate.
How did it feel? Oh, yeah, probably. I get very, very similar, but the feeling of winning the Barton Townley was just pure like enjoyment, and then you know there's a big celebration coming up because everyone's partying about it, you know, and you're with your mates, and that feels incredible. With this, the first feeling I had was relief. The first feeling I had was not like, yes, I've done it, punch in the air and like whatever. It was just pure relief to start with. So it was a much different kind of feeling, and I presume they both release dopamine to some degree, maybe even more so with relief, because then it shows that there was a level of I might not actually do this.
You were on the Barton Townley final, though, right? You were at halftime. You were down, weren't you?
Losing, and we'd lost the previous year in the final. So there was this big comeback thing. It's really hard to put your finger on it, and this is a personal achievement.
Yeah,
basically a personal achievement.
Yeah.
The Barton Townley one was just again with your mates and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever noticed this properly, but I've got pictures up in the gym of street meets and gym competitions and high rocks and stuff like that. And the only photos that are up are ones of me doing stuff with people. So I don't have like a picture of me on the finish line at High Rocks by myself, or I don't have a picture of me pulling a tire outside my house, or even the pulling of the tire down
Not
the
like
canal.
me. I've got all them posters of me doing High Rocks in my living room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Joke.
so I don't. I get so much enjoyment achieving things with people, and so I would probably say the greatest feeling I've got to say is it's got to be the Barton Townley. It's got to be. It's teamwork. It's everything. It's mates, and you get to share it, and you get to share the experiences, so people can be like, oh, and at this moment I felt like this, and yeah, I did too, but then I saw this, and whereas with this, it's like, it's all totally.
Yeah.
No one will ever know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
you've got like a little bit of, because I guess what you're probably you're dancing around now is you don't want to, because you've said that we supported you through it and stuff like that. But it's like, fucking hell, like, what have you got? Like 10 players on the pitch. You've got the subs. You've got the manager.
13, but yeah.
Oh, is it 13? I knew it was one. Yeah, fuck off. I don't know rugby, but yeah, there's so many different touch points there. So many different like inflections and perspectives. And so it's
I mean, that brought me and that group of mates together forever. More so, just tight and shared experience. So yeah, those things trump this.
And it's like that. I feel like, well, sport in general, certainly team sport, it is tapping into like a primitive like war mentality.
Yeah.
Like you're going through something difficult together to be bonded together as like a brotherhood.
Yeah,
essentially, and that's why it's so powerful.
Definitely. Yeah. And to be fair, I've even got the recency effect with this, so you'd feel like this would be even more powerful a feeling to me right now. But I think I can still go back and say no, nothing will trump that in terms of a feeling. I'll stick with that.
Interesting what you say in like in 15 years.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
How you'd feel about that one?
No, I still think the Barton Townley. I think it's got to be that. Yeah, and Phil was in the team as well, my brother. So sharing that with him, class. Nice
to have these collection of dopamine things. And to be asked that question.
I should probably put a picture of that Barton Townley final in the gym, but I think what I put in the gym is like, this is what's happened in this gym. Do you know what I mean? Or as a result of this effort in the last 8 years or whatever it might be,
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we've gone through your journey on the world record. I don't think we've skipped over anything during that period.
No.
I thought it'd be good to talk about some tactful stuff now. Someone's out there, they're thinking about, they would like to do something similar. Could be physical, or it may be something different, or it might be, I don't know. I feel, Guinness World Records, they're all physical, aren't they?
No, the heck, no. Like, there's a kid who's just broken a load of world records for like maths equations and stuff like that.
So what is the process? What are the steps that someone needs to take to firstly, look at researching? What are those? Like, walk us through, if you could do a course to deliver it in 7 minutes, what would it sound like?
For how to actually apply for a world record and go through that journey, or just in terms of like...
So right now I'm saying, I think I might want to break a world record.
All right.
Where do we start?
Not telling you, because I don't want anyone to go. I don't want anyone to go after this who's listening.
Yeah.
No. So first off, go onto the Guinness World Record website for something that you're interested in, that you feel like you're good at, or that you even just mess about with the idea, which is all I did. Like, let's say you're really good at the Rubik's Cube. You've completed the Rubik's Cube. You can get under 1 minute, whatever. Go on to type in Rubik's Cube in the Guinness World Record search, and it'll come up with loads of records. And then you can kind of be like, oh, wow, I think I'm fast doing this. Look at this guy. And then, so for me, you just search kettlebells and see what comes up. And personally, I personally don't think that there's any what is it? I don't think there should be much recognition for people who create new records. Does that make sense? So you can go onto the Guinness World Record and be like, "Oh, I want to create a record for the most weight lifted in 1 hour by kettlebell clean and press with wearing a tutu." You know,
yeah. It's like doing an exercise you've never done in the gym before and putting it down as a PB.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Now, to be fair, what the Guinness World Record says for any new records is that it has to be clearly unique. So you can't just be like, whilst wearing sunglasses or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So do that search, find something you're interested in. Start working out if it's something that you are likely to be able to move towards that record. And then if you ever feel like you're in a place that you can do it, you've really got to start honing in and basically aim to break it unofficially. That's probably the first bit. However, what happens is when you apply for a record, and I'll just tell you my journey basically. When I applied for the Turkish Get Up one, or I was interested in it, you've got to register your interest. So you search for it and you click on like apply for record. And only at that point, when you get a response email from them to say you are successful, you can then see the details of that record in terms of what standards do you have to meet. So you wouldn't be able to just Google kettlebell clean and press and it will tell you all the stuff you've got to meet, like the kettlebell has to be straight above your head, you know, it's got to go into a low swing, you've got to catch it in the clean and all this kind of stuff. You have to apply by putting a little bit of information together about why you want to apply. Interestingly, when I applied for this one, all I wrote in the justification was, I just want to see what the standards are. And, you know, I never said, oh, you know, I'm a dad of 3 who wants to inspire my children and all this kind of stuff. I just literally said that. Can you just give me access so I can have a look?
Yeah.
And I did. And then it's the application stays open. You kind of say when you want to attempt it. So you just put in rough figures. You can put a year away or something and it'll stay. It won't expire until after that date. If someone breaks that record or there's some other form of update, then you'll get an email saying there is an update on your world record. And that happened with the Turkish Get Up one. When Matey Boy in America smashed it and put it way out of sight, I got an email saying there is an update, and I was like, oh no, went on it, and lo and behold, put out of sight. And then you have to go through an extremely arduous journey of working out how you are going to capture the evidence, the relevant evidence. And there's a whole booklet about what evidence you have to capture. Now, if you want a world record judge there from Guinness World Records, it costs £5,000. So you can do that, and you'll have a guy in a suit and a tie with the world record badge, and he will stand there with his clipboard, and on the day he can give you this certificate if you break the record.
You know, when if you see on the Guinness page, they post videos about people doing them, and they're always like professionally filmed and stuff. Is that like an upsell that you can pay for from getting to film it and everything as well, or is that?
I'm not sure, to be honest, about the filming aspect.
Yeah,
they probably do have levels. I would say that the judge thing is that they deem which ones they want to sort of, you know, it's like getting it in the book. So I emailed them asking, now that I broke the world record, like what would I have to do to get it in the book? And if I'm being honest, I thought that they'd be like, oh, well, it costs £5,000 or something.
Yeah.
But they literally said, there's a team that we aren't allowed to contact that look at all the records broken. They think about themes that they want to go with that year, and it'll go in the book. And I think they said the cutoff is May for the.
It's a bit like the New York Times bestseller list. Like it's selected by a board rather than actual, you know.
So there's nothing I can do to see if I can actually get in the book, although I am on the website, obviously.
Yeah.
So assuming you don't want to pay £5,000 for a world record judge to be there, there's so much criteria you've got to make. So I'll tell you what, rather than going through it all, I'll just rhyme off some stuff, right? So for this record, I had to have some calibrated weights, some calibrated scales to prove that the weight that the kettlebells weighed what I'm saying they weighed. You have to have, you'll know this was your role, 2 cameras rolling at all times, one in front and one to the side, and they've got to be continuous from the point that you've also weighed the kettlebell, so there's no cutting at all. When you upload that to the website, you can't do it for a 1 hour video. There's not enough storage or whatever space to upload it, so you've got to break it into like 3 or 4 chunks. When you break it into 3 or 4 chunks, you've got to have a 5-second overlap on each video so that they can prove that there wasn't like a cut that's that's like dodgy or whatever. Mm-hmm. I had to have a independent witness who I don't know, and I had to have a specialist independent witness who has kettlebell qualifications, and I have to prove the qualifications by uploading them. I had to submit social media posts, photos, the videos, extra videos of like the setup. They wanted footage of the warm-ups and all that kind of stuff. Basically, they just want full proof of the authenticity of the attempt, mm-hmm. and that it's not just someone like bullshitting or whatever. And in the end, I uploaded. Oh yeah, and then witness statements from the judges, and anything like that. And in the end, I uploaded about 60 documents to the Guinness World Record website. That was me submitting it. It's in, and then basically it just takes a while for them to come back and approve it.
And you don't necessarily need 7 backups. 7 camera backups.
We had a lot of cameras. You had a lot of cameras going, but it just gave us that confidence that it was going to, that there wasn't going to be any outstanding factors that could have spoiled the attempt.
Yeah, it was just like such a the thought of you breaking it and one of the cameras failed. Yeah. I would never live it down. Yeah, so that's why I had 7 cameras.
But even within some of the rules, like the kettlebell judge, so it had to be someone that I don't personally know well, and it also had to be someone who didn't have something to gain from the experience. So, for example, Matty's probably, he is qualified to teach kettlebells, mm-hmm. but he wasn't allowed to be one of the judges because it was done in his venue where he could potentially commercially, get a little bit of advantage because, hey, we've got a world record breaker in our gym, So, there's so many hoops to jump through. And that was mainly Phil's job, my brother, to mm-hmm. try and control all of that. But again, we talk about learnings from the first one. There was so much so much effort and proper focus on, are we doing everything right? Are the cameras right and stuff? Second time round, mm-hmm. we knew what we were doing. We'd done it. Yeah. So it was, again, a more relaxed atmosphere around that,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Even from my perspective, like doing the cameras and stuff, like my stress levels were probably like a heart rate zone down because just that experience is neurally so advantageous. Yeah. Just going back a little bit to talking about someone looking at doing a world record, what would you say a key indicator would be that it could be done? So let's say you attempted, I don't want to say attempted your record because I don't want anyone to go break it. But if you did world record pace, and we should say a world record pace basically means using the weights and doing it at the pace that you would need to require. Would you say if you could do 20 minutes at it, would you think, oh, maybe I could do that? Or do you know what I mean? What you're looking for?
I started with just 15 minutes, and then when I got to 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'm a third there. And to be honest, if you can do 20 minutes, you can do it. It's a weird thing. I mean, it's not easy. Mm-hmm. It's like the hardest thing you'll ever do, but mm-hmm. you can't. But it is achievable. The whole thing won't come as a surprise. Is it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. Like physically, you've got to be able to do it, like avoid injuries and stuff like that. But is it my deltoids that got me out of bed at 5:15 every morning? No, it was my mindset. It was my brain that got me out and starts on the ski erg feeling absolutely knackered, and then before you know it, you're sort of like coming out of the gym like absolutely buzzing because you've had a really good session. Is it a muscle? Is it another muscle part or my legs that make me have a second session that day? I go for a run as well as no, it's all just my mindset. So yeah, the message there is that if you can do 20 minutes, which is probably going to be really, really, really hard to do, but if you can do 20 minutes at world record pace, it's all about then focusing on the mindset and just grinding it out. And you've got to be willing to go to some really awful, dark places. Not dark as in like, just like incredibly uncomfortable places to make yourself comfortable, as I've sort of alluded to.
And when we talk about that, those dark places, I think what is that dark place is different for everyone. So, and this is something that I talked about on my podcast with Matty Green.
Yeah.
And I was talking about like zone 5 self-talk. And at the time, and I was talking about how when I did kettlebell thrusters, when I used to go to the classes when I first joined, I would get into this zone of self-talk where it's like, you're just a scared little boy, you're not good at this, that's why you never got picked for football, whatever. Like, not necessarily those things, but those feelings, the feeling of kind of taking me back to that place.
Yeah.
So this is why I mentioned like that suck zone, that like minging zone is going to be different for everyone else. So firstly, to do with how you relate to that feeling and your past experiences and your trauma and whatever, but also how many times you've been in that zone.
Yeah.
Because what's cool is I don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
Or I might get it in a different way or something, and it's just fascinating. Like the last time I got something like that, actually, I haven't had it for a long time, was when I did the High Rocks doubles and I missed that lap.
Oh yeah, of course.
And so if anyone listening,
knew the High Rocks were screwed for the rest of the race.
So I'm second lap in, and I basically told my partner we needed to go in. We needed another lap, and then after I realised, it was like that feeling in my stomach, and that was just like and I hadn't had it for so long, and it just came back there.
Yeah.
You're not good enough, and so. Reason I say this is because we were talking about going to that dark place, and just how you said like when you said, oh, it's not quite dark, I thought it'd be interesting to say I think it's different for everyone, so that feeling could take someone back to something really dark.
Well, doesn't David Goggins says that his self-talk is like thinking about the haters and what they're saying and like proving them wrong and stuff. I don't try and do it. It is all from a positive place. The only time that I can remember where I've said to myself, it wasn't you're not good enough. It was just, you're not going to be able to do this, was that first attempt when I was 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, and I was like, no chance that I can get through this.
Yeah.
But again, the reason I've got that chart of my heart rate up on the wall is to remind myself of that feeling of, you are not going to be able to do an hour anywhere near this pace, and I still did it. Like that is like the learning from that is crazy, because it just makes you feel like, yeah, I can go really, really dark and minging and come out better for it,
Yeah. reminds me actually when we did have that chat last time, we talked about this. We talked about motivation. We talked about David Goggins using his mixtape of people haters on the internet to G him up, and I was asking you about your motivation, and I think probably at that time in my life, I was using like toxic motivation to propel me forward because I'd been through a painful experience. And what happened to me was a year rolls by, I'd done my first year in High Rocks, achieved these things that I had never thought I would be able to do. Like the sub 25k or whatever. And then it's like, oh, what now? And what motivation? Like, basically, because I was happier.
Yeah.
And I'd let go of a lot of that stuff that I was hurt about. So then you go, okay, so what's motivating me now? And I do feel like in a roundabout way, I've kind of like landed like almost 2 years later in a much more holistic approach. I mean, yeah, all right, deep seated, what's driving you? There's something else going on there. Yeah. But in terms of that, like initial kind of like, if I was struggling to get through a workout now, I wouldn't start thinking of like people who had wronged me or,
no.
It would be the same. Like, and I think there are just levels. And you might need, if you're just starting out, you might need that fucking Goggins energy to but then it's like you need to find a different, it's not even another gear, it's like a different type of gear.
Yeah, and
isn't it?
Well, everything is a learning journey, and you change as a person, don't you? Mm-hmm. I'm not the same person I was necessarily 10 years ago or maybe 5 years ago. And yeah, I guess that's explained by the fact that I would have never thought that this was possible. Yeah. But self-talk and everything I want to achieve and inspire my kids and all that kind of stuff. That they're my priorities now. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely molded me into a different person.
That's like the gym is just so cool.
Oh, it's unbelievable,
isn't it? Like
I've mentioned it a few times to you, but if I'm like being a bit of a dick at home, which is more than possible,
every day.
Katie will just say, "Get yourself for a workout or whatever," or on a day when it's a rest day.
Yeah,
I notice that I'm getting tetchy.
Yeah,
it's mental what it does for me.
Yeah,
and you kind of, and same for you. You kind of want everyone to feel like this, about it, because it's such a healthy thing to be doing, to be ticking over with that. I honestly wish everyone in the world would just enjoy that feeling. Mm-hmm. One of the phrases people have said isn't that stuck with me as well is no one ever regretted a gym session. Unless you got injured or whatever, but no one ever regretted a gym session because you come out and your hormones are all positive. Mm-hmm. You feel, you're happy to have, I don't know, like a bacon sarnie or whatever it might be because you've just worked hard and you actually do deserve it and your muscles actually want that fuel, Mm-hmm. So there's so many positives to be had, and that's the street meet thing that I do, and I don't do it a lot. Obviously, I'd love to do it more. It's just people's availability, really. But getting people together and again, just. Yeah, what's really nice, actually, brilliant example of this is Laura Krellin was the independent witness. My brother Phil basically asked her to come. He works with her to be the independent witness first time and second time. And what was absolutely awesome was after the second time, gave Daniel a hug, gave her a hug, thank you so much. And then she went and joined the gym session at CSC that was just about to start or going on. And I was like what are you doing? What are you doing? And she's like, oh, I joined after the first attempt. I joined the gym because of you, basically, or I'll take some credit. She said something along those lines, and I was just like, that's mega. That is so good. Just like that mm-hmm. doing something like this, mm-hmm. even failing it, was enough to make someone like do like better their lives. And so I absolutely love that kind of thing.
That's awesome. I seen her last night, actually. She's still there.
Is she still there?
Yeah.
Good.
But that's what it's all about, isn't it? And and I feel like I probably wouldn't have got into High Rocks if it weren't for you. I don't think I probably wouldn't have gone to Cumbria Strength and Conditioning if we hadn't had that chat. Maybe I would have, but do you know what I mean?
I wonder what's going to change off this chat.
Yeah,
because a lot changed after that first one. I started fully doing cold exposure and all that kind of stuff. Threw myself into a few other things, obviously. And then like you say, you did High Rocks and Cumbria Strength. Wonder what might come of this.
Yeah, it's funny because Matty listened to the first conversation, and I remember him saying to me, or he must have overheard me saying to someone in the gym that I'd stopped doing the cold water every day.
All right.
And he pulled me up on it and he said, "Oh, it's interesting because you said on the podcast, you don't miss a day." And I was like, I haven't done a cold dip since it would have been the start of 2024. I did all through winter. I did every day throughout winter, whether it was icy, just getting and then I got to spring last year, and for some reason I just stopped.
Yeah.
And now I even have a hot shower in the morning. I might finish on cold, but and we talk about levels, don't we? We talk about the Goggins energy, and we talk about going into the more relaxed energy. Back then, I would say this is what I need to do to feel like a normal person, because basically I'm thinking in my head I'm broken, so I need to do the cold plunge, and I need but then it's like, well, actually, I had to like, you could say it's a bit of a cope and just like, oh yeah, you just don't want to get in the cold plunge, stop being a bitch. But I had to learn that actually I can function
without
at
having
high
to
level.
have them tools every day.
Without it, I can have a hot shower and be able to function, because like I would say a lot, oh, if I have a hot shower, like I'll stay in there all day and then I'll be all lethargic. All right, that could happen sometimes, but like it's and this is and sort of going back to what I was saying, all these things, certainly working out and hard things, and you just learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there are so many lessons to take from it and metaphors, and you can map it onto all areas of your life. And it's just fascinating. I'm endlessly fascinated in that journey of kind of looking at your inner experience. And
I haven't touched cold water exposure much, maybe intermittently, but we just had our shower fixed. We got one shower that runs really cold, and the other shower doesn't get quite as cold. So basically, I took that as an while the shower that runs cold was out of use, basically out of order. I used it as an excuse to not have cold showers, because I was like, it's just not cold enough, so it's not giving me full effect. Yeah. It's basically an excuse, really. But now that the very cold shower is fixed, I kind of was like, oh God, now I've got to do it. I kind of said to myself, my excuse isn't there anymore, so I've got to do it. So this last couple of weeks since it's been fixed, I've started on cold, and it's well cold at the moment. And I'll go in and I'm like, like absolutely freezing. But I'm allowing myself to then turn it to warm after like maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And as I turn it to warm, I'm literally laughing.
That's the best feeling.
I'm laughing. Katie does loads of cold exposure now with one of her best mates in Coniston, and I absolutely love this. Right, I rang her at lunchtime when I was on my lunchtime walk. I was like, "How was your cold dip?" And she said, "Me and Tina could not stop laughing. She said we looked like psychos. There was people like going past on boats, and we were hysterically laughing for the entirety of being in there." And then they went for a coffee at the bakehouse. Third time we've mentioned the bakehouse.
Sponsor this podcast.
And they were having the coffees, laughing and not being able to speak to each other and not having communicated why they're even laughing. Like that. And I just said to it, I was like, that is mega. Like,
Yeah.
how good must that be doing for your body?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you've got the addition thing of actually bonding with someone who's laughing. You haven't even, there's no joke being told. There's no like, and yeah. So when I turn it warm from being freezing, I'm like, the relief is just like, I'll laugh. And I'm like, I don't laugh in the shower. So it's, yeah. And I know that I'll go on it and then I'll go off it. There'll be months before, like, I might go off it for a few months. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think we need to realize that we live in a seasonal climate as well.
Yeah.
So like we have this maybe it would be different if you were living in somewhere but there must be such an impact that has on everything. Like the different, like you're constantly getting a different amount of daylight every day. What effect is that having on you? And maybe slightly off topic, but I'll touch on it. Like I went through that whole kind of looking at losing a bit of weight last year after we did that high rock simulation, and I seen this picture of myself, and I was like, I had this like gut, and I was like, and I was so pissed off about it.
Yeah.
That got me into like this. I started tracking all my calories, and I was just like nailing my diet. And do you know what? Like the last few months, I've gone the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm accepting it because I'm like, do you know what? Maybe in a month's time, I'll see another picture of myself again. I'll go, oh, bit fat.
Yeah.
Dial it back, Jason. But you know what? I don't care.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm carrying a bit more than I have done. But, and this is a guy that was on the podcast he's like an expert in eating disorders, and his like thing is strong, not starving.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's his whole reframe around people who struggle with like body dysmorphia and eating disorder. It's like reframe it like strong. And I wrote something down on my whiteboard. Actually, I rubbed it off yesterday, but I took a picture of it. And I was like, if I get on the scales and it's a bit heavier, I literally wrote, that is an indicator that my body is fueled and I have an abundance of amino acids and I'm ready to train.
Fair enough.
And then just that, and then so rather than going, I'm feeling, I've put on weight, I'm going to because it's like that negative feeling can sometimes make you worse, and then fuck it, I'll just eat a lot of food. Doesn't matter, fuck it, I'm already fat. But like having that reframe is like and a positive one, not like I need to get to the gym to work out, not like I'm fueled.
Yeah.
Like that's showing that I've got plenty of abundance of nutrients and stuff. But yeah, I think just life is like we go through these seasons, and that's all right.
Do you know? I stepped on the scales today for the first time in in about 2 months, and sometimes I can go many months without going on the scales. Basically, it has to be perfect conditions, i.e., first thing in the morning. I haven't eaten. I haven't had many fluids, and I've been to the toilet.
Yeah.
All right. So that's when I weigh myself. That's my standard to make sure that I'm kind of calibrated across it all.
Yeah.
But I stepped on it and I was 90.9 kilos, so 91 kilos, and I've been around 91 for quite a while, like up to 92, back down to 90. Back in summer last year, I think I dropped down to like 86 or something, so quite a lot off me. But like, I looked at it and I was like, what does it mean? Like, at the moment, I'm trimmer than I was even when I did the world record. So like, I was okay with being fueled. I was okay with being fueled for the world record. Didn't care. Like, I knew I'd bloody have my top off and stuff. But I don't care, about what nick I was in if I was fueled and ready and primed for that event. But now I'm like trimmer, but I'm also stronger. So I'm like, I've got probably a bit more muscle mass, but I'm trimmer and I'm at the same weight as I was when I did that. So I'm just like, oh God, I don't, there's no point in me weighing myself. Like if my goal was to plow muscle on and like try and get really big and eat loads, then yeah, I'd obviously be interested in that as a metric.
Yeah.
Or if I'm thinking I want to get proper slim so I can get a sub whatever run, then I'd probably measure that. But I honestly don't know if 86 kilos in summer or 92 kilos last month or 91 now.
Yeah, what does it
what
mean?
does it matter?
Yeah.
Like, you know, what does it matter? It's weird, you know.
It's all to do with. I think it's all to do with how you think about how others see you. Because if I thought that, I feel like a big part of me not being bothered about my weight at the moment is it's been freezing, so I'm at my top off in the gym.
Yeah.
So I'm not like looking at the pictures afterwards and going, "Oh, I should have," I know. And you might say, "Oh, or maybe you should like be like," but like, are you strong? Are you fast? Are you healthy? Are you relaxed? Are you enjoying yourself? Great.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
yeah.
And who knows? Like, maybe I'll change my mind in a few months, and then I'll go on a big old cut.
And that's fine, because that's just another journey to go on, and
Yeah.
which will keep you healthy and focused and doing something different. You know.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of I'm honing in a little bit on high rocks just because I've got high rocks coming up and I've got an FX at the end of this year. So that's similar. So I'm kind of needing to work towards that. But I'm happy to do that for a bit and then be like, right, I want to get a really heavy squat. So I'm going to focus on that. It's just, it doesn't matter because it's all good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. It's funny because I was thinking about High Rocks Glasgow coming up, and I remember thinking to myself, I want to have a 6-pack, and I was just going to like go to town, or I was maybe going to get a paddy plan, and then I was just like, why do I even care?
Yeah.
like just fucking enjoy your life.
Yeah, definitely.
So like in the evenings now, rather than, because I would be quite like quite neurotic about like making sure I hit my calorie target and like going out for a walk in the evening after I've had my meal because my glucose spike and all this stuff. And yeah, that is going to be good from a metabolic standpoint. But I was watching a documentary about gorillas the other day, and they eat loads and they just fucking lie there.
Yeah.
And they relax. And the mountain gorillas are the 200 kilo, like strong, like, and then it's like, how many times, yeah, you might be like super lean and stuff, but how many times throughout the week are you feeling that feeling when your body's actually starting to restore? You know, you're actually relaxing and giving yourself a fucking break.
Yeah.
But again, there are different levels to this. People are at different stages. Some people sit on the sofa too much.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And those people, you know, do need to up the game big time, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, like exactly what you said, I have a treat like at least twice a week. You know, I try and make it twice a week, but at least twice a week I'll have a treat, which might be like on Monday. In fact, on Monday I brought my midweek treat, which would normally be sort of Wednesday, Thursday, to Monday, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to have my tub of Ben and Jerry's, and I had a tub of Ben and Jerry's, you know, on that night, and I was like, but I won't have anything later on. So it's all in proportion, but there is always a bit of me that's like, I could be in even better condition if I could just like cut that out. But why? I'm like a dad of 3, and I've done something pretty impressive recently, and I'll continue to do things like this, not necessarily another world record, but I'll continue to do challenges and keep myself focused on things. So also definitely enjoy life, you know?
Yeah. It's got like this perfectionism, isn't it, at heart, and it's like it's okay to be imperfect.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Lots happened in the last 2 years since our last conversation.
Yeah.
What do you think you've changed your mind about regarding food, nutrition, training?
I've probably eased a little bit in terms of like like it's really easy for someone like me who likes to be in control, who set these rules within the family to make sure we eat as well as possible and stuff like that. I think just over the year, we're very, very good at it in our house, and Kate is amazing at implementing it as well. But I think I've eased so that it's not a stress, because it used to be a stressor, and sometimes I can get like that, if like we haven't prepared something very well and we're out and we're like, oh, well, we have to grab something while we're out, and then I'm a little bit frustrated, but I'm just much more chilled out about that now. Well, I guess one of the things that's changed is my oldest child, who's 12 now, he's got a phone and he's got a bit more freedom and stuff like that, and is in the age of social media and stuff like that. So one of the main focuses is to not let them things negatively impact him, and then setting that stall out for my other two kids as well. So, for example, technology screens, should I say, go off in our house at 6:30. You know what I mean? That's the expectation. We have a limited amount of screen time on his phone. He has a Nintendo Switch that he sometimes goes to, sometimes doesn't. He can go months without it, but when he does, then he has to make a deal, which is sacrificing some phone time for some Nintendo Switch time and stuff like that. So there's just like kind of rules and stuff around that. I think, I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast last time, but I've said to all three of my children that if they can get to their 18th birthday without having any social media except for YouTube, okay, but it's not exactly the kind of thing that you post you just let your consciousness go out there,
Apart from shorts
a little
bit, yeah.
But if they can stay off Snapchat, WhatsApp's fine. If they can stay off Snapchat, if they can stay off TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, until their 18th birthday, I'll give them £1,000 each.
Wow!
I once read it or something in the newspaper that someone had that deal and got it. So
that's cool.
Hopefully, we're not strapped for cash at the time, but I think that £1,000 is unbelievably worth it.
Yeah,
like for what it, yeah,
100%.
I look at kids these days, and I look at kids these days. Everyone looks at kids these days. Hang on. I've gone back to the dopamine dump, haven't I? We look at children in our society these days, and the heads are in the phones, and you can see that it's affecting them socially, from being able to like make eye contact with you and stuff like that. Yeah,
I literally had, by the way, this conversation with Matty Green 2 days ago.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Literally that, exactly what you just said.
And I honestly believe, and it's not like I'm trying to make my kids win the rat race or anything like that, but I think my kids are going to be at a huge advantage because they are going to be sociable creatures and be able to hold conversations with adults. There's already been, I already do get comments like, oh, the kids are, they actually are good at talking to adults. It's like interesting to see. And does loads of sport, and the girls are into stuff as well now. And all of that is going to build into, them becoming brilliant people when they're older, and so that's the thing that's changed in terms of focus for us. It's not so much food, because we've kind of got that nailed down. That's like a bit of a routine and stuff. Talked about cold water and breathing and all that kind of stuff. That stuff can come and go, but the focus at the moment for me is like making sure that the other stuff that they are becoming exposed to doesn't negatively influence them, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I might have even said this to you, but I've been on this like whole using my phone without a SIM card in and stuff, which people who listen to the podcast will know about as well, and people who try and get hold of me will know this as well because I'm terrible at replying now. But I that's something I said was this advantage thing. Like, if you can be someone who is not glued to the phone all the time and is able to think about things before they do them and not be just like pulled from pillar to post by these technologies, you are going to have a massively outsized advantage.
Yeah.
Like, just because of the way things are going. Like, if you're someone, like, if you imagine, it's just been wild to me, the difference I've seen in this whole not turning my phone on until I've done the most important task of the day.
Yeah. Do you know from time to time, we might have to do something like a screen ban or something. You know, it sounds harsh, but like if, behavior is really bad for whatever reason, it happens to kids do this.
Yeah.
We might say, right, no TV for the weekend or something like that, very rarely, but that happened, I guess within the last month that happened. And I saw playing with my youngest and they were like proper laughing and giggling, and he was giving us some proper like love and attention and, tickling each other and proper playing and being daft. And that came from him being briefly on a screen ban.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't on the screen ban, it'd have probably been chilling watching a bit of YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, he's incredibly active. He does basically sport every single night, but we allow him to have that downtime in front of the TV. Yeah. But interestingly, that beautiful moment, which it's not a rare moment, but that's an example of a moment that would never have happened had he been watching some TV.
Yeah,
which can totally apply to me as well.
Yeah,
I'm bloody checking my stocks and shares or whatever it might be. That might be me being taken away from another great moment, and that is what screens and social media and all that does, which is why it's so important to limit it, and set expectations.
Yeah, 100%, and that like turning it around, a little bit. And you were talking about us as adults, and I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews and cousins and the rest of it. But like, just that one moment where, like, if a child comes to you and you don't listen, and you're looking at that, what is the neural pathways doing at that point? That is saying, if you have something that you need to express, hold it in, because you're not going to get your needs met.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's. I love technology.
Yeah.
As you well know, we have this amazing technology that we've got, and we need to learn how to wield it
100%
in a positive way.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Ant-Man.
Yeah. It's a good quote. On that, slightly off topic, very off topic, but Spider-Man. So have you heard of thing? Have you heard about like I don't know what it's called, like it's like body muscle mass inflation or something it's called. And basically they look at like what jacked was in the 90s versus now.
All right.
And so you look at like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Yeah.
Just kind of like skinny, doesn't necessarily have a six-pack or whatever, jacked. Everyone was like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, great example. When he goes like bad and he's like fucking dancing down the street.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's awful. Awful scene.
But and then he gets jacked.
Yeah.
He's looking in the mirror and he's like, he's not even like by now standards, he's not even that jacked.
No.
Like, he's not got a six-pack.
No.
He's just got like a couple of biceps or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it's a really interesting thing to look at. And you just go, because now we've got these top 1% of influencers and stuff, and we're back to social media, aren't we? And and how many people that we follow on Instagram or on gear or who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting because you mentioned Spider-Man, because I noticed that the other day.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. Standards change, don't they? And
Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, it's kind of awful, isn't it? Because then you're comparing yourself against those people
the
because
top 1%.
well, not even 1%. It's
Yeah,
like even more minute than that, isn't it?
yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap it up shortly.
Yeah.
I thought I would ask you, what do you think you've learned about yourself in the last since our last podcast? What's the one lesson that you've taken from life?
Um. I think, to be honest, I'll probably have to go back to that first attempt and the grind that I went through. Like I learned that it is possible to go way beyond what you think you're capable of, you know. And although I am adamant that I won't ever be able to, even if I wanted to get to that level again, I won't have to ever put that level of effort in again. It's nice to know that I've got that in my locker in case I ever needed to. From a physical performance perspective, but mainly from a mental resilience point of view. That's probably the main thing that I've learned, because it was such a deep experience, you know. But I guess the other thing is, which is a little bit less intense, is that advice that Daniel gave me, which is if you're working towards something and you have a way of training for that, whether it's training in the gym or whether it's something else that you're preparing for, just treat whatever that big moment is. Try your best to just treat it like it was the practice that you've been doing, and you can take a lot of stress off yourself that way.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
A little exercise for you.
Okay.
So, for everyone listening, and I know you don't like social media, but this is an interesting frame to use. So, you're given 60 seconds, because actually that's the length that you can put on an Instagram story. 60 seconds to appear to everyone around the world. They'll just come up on their phone 60 seconds,
Right.
and it's Andy Allan and give him some advice
wow.
or philosophizing. What would you say to them?
God, I'm going to make a hash of this, but as much as like there's not there, this is going to be very convoluted. It's not really going to be an elevator speech as such, but with having kids, it's really easy to think like, I want my son to play rugby and football, and like, you know, maybe they might make it as like a professional sports person, or maybe my daughter will end up being a ballerina, or you know whatever, a gymnast or whatever. And like, I think in your head that can be the goal. You know, some parents will like take the kids golfing constantly and like tennis or whatever, because they're like, yeah, then they can be millionaires and whatever. And I just always come back to the point that it's all about happiness. Like if I became a professional sportsman, then fantastic, as long as he's happy. If he doesn't become a professional sports person, I don't care, as long as he's happy. Do you know what I mean? That as long as you're happy, yeah. Because again, we'll go back to dopamine. It's expectation versus outcome, isn't it? So if he can be happy and my children can be happy and anybody in the world, because apparently I've got this platform right now where everyone in the world is listening to me, can just find something that makes them happy, even if it means like just for an hour a day or whatever. It might be the gym, it might be going for a walk, it might be cold dips, it might be whatever, socializing. Then then yeah, I would definitely take that over trying to strive for this life that is unlikely, because only the top 0.05% of people get there. You know, it's nice to strive for it if you wanted to get there, but don't do that over your own happiness. I'm listening right now to an audiobook, Gary Stevenson, who was a trader, and he basically made like millions for himself. And where I am in the audiobook right now, he was miserable, like really miserable, like got really skinny, found no purpose in life, doing this job that everyone's like, oh my God, it's an amazing job, how exciting, and didn't make him happy. And there's so many examples of that in life. So focus on the happy, you know, on the happiness more than striving for something that is it going to make you happy.
Yeah, that's cool. I think as well.
I said happy a lot.
Yeah, but like what's beautiful about what you just said is it started out as like parental advice, but then it kind of come full circle. And then I feel like not only like, so even if let's say you don't even have kids, but how could you apply that to yourself would be, because some people are doing it for someone else. Some people are doing that because of a parental figure. They're doing something they're not happy with because of a parent who wasn't like you, who wanted them to do something they never wanted to do. So like, they shouldn't be doing stuff for anyone else. Like, it's got to be, and like, I'm big on intuition and trusting your gut and just going with, you know, whatever it is, like the thing that makes you a bit weird or whatever, that don't try and hide it. That's your fucking superpower.
Yeah.
And that's something like I'm trying to learn about myself as well. Not stopping taking on other people's opinions of me. It's like whatever way that river's going, follow it.
Yeah.
And like, fuck everyone else. As long as you're not doing any harm.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, and we talk about like having outsized returns or having an advantage. That's going to give you an advantage is when you're able to listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
I think you do that really well. You just fucking go. And it's cool. I love it. Listen, mate, this has been awesome. The last couple of years have been amazing. Since we sat down that first time, we've become really close.
Really close, yeah.
And it's just been fucking great. And it's, you know what, mate? Like, I never had a big brother. And like, and you and Phil have kind of been like that for me. So like, it's been really beautiful. So thank you. And everything you do is inspiring I know is inspiring to other people. It's inspiring to me. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
I really appreciate that, mate. And yeah, love you lots.
Love you too. Do you want to direct anyone to any of your stuff? Because I know you're not really big on socials. If they want to find out anything about you.
The only thing that would be nice for people to have a little dabble with would be going on the Mixcloud for the mix that I made for the world record attempt. If anyone fancies to listen to that, if you now want to do some, you know, that maybe this has motivated people to get in the gym, why not have a listen to that mix as well? Because it certainly motivated me to a world record, so it might motivate you to a few sessions in the gym.
Fuck yeah, I'm going to stick it on. I'm going to have a go.
Sweet.
All right, mate. Nice one,
mate. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me. Thank you so much for watching that episode and congratulations for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. A few things before you get going. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode, the kindest thing you can do for me is to share it with a friend or family member. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to both my guests and myself. And if you made it this far, why don't you drop me a DM?